As Leslie mentions, there is a foundation, there is the back side of the house, but most of it, really the majority of it, you can't live in it. So we worked with our normal methodologies to arrive at that dollar figure for value. It represents a loss of $98,200. So there are a number of different ways you can figure out what that loss translates into for taxes. And then to prorate, just another way to explain the months. If that's if that loss was at the end of October, that means the amount of loss should be calculated for November, December, January, February, March, and that's it. Because that's 5 months, because on April 1st next year, the listers will go back out and either they will have improved the house or will just simply update their whole record to reflect that loss. Wherever it is on April 1st, that will be the basis of their next tax bill. Does that help?
Thank you.
Good.
Matt, you have something?
No, I was just giving her a thumbs up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Any other discussions on this?
One question on the form, which is, it says intentionally demolished and says no. But I don't see a fire marshal's report. We don't care about that. I'm just wondering, this question. When it comes to fire.
It was concluded that day.
Okay.
They would only call the marshal if it was suspicious.
Okay. That's my question.
I mean, I don't know if I can answer that.
No, yeah, I don't think we have anything officially outstanding that says it was. I think that the town will understand that, right? We can get that out, hopefully get that information before tonight.
If it was something we needed.
Yeah. I think it was accidental. We judge it to be accidental anyway.
And I have one quick question.
Go ahead.
That looks like.
We don't care that they didn't sign the
It
form.
was on for a while.
It came over the internet.
Yeah, how did it get to your office? It got to your office somehow.
It came through email. I don't care, I'm just asking.
Yeah, it's a good question, but not being in the 21st century, I would think that'd come in by email. You got their email address and everything. Probably should be a little more picky on it.
Well, yeah, they live in New Jersey, so. Okay, I'm fine. I don't want it to come back later on and.
Yeah,
Right.
just for your information, there is a way on Adobe
To sign a document.
to be able to sign the document and have it say,
Okay, but I don't have Adobe on my computer.
you don't have to have
And the
a
town won't pay for me to put it on.
Adobe Reader is free.
I'm laughing.
Adobe Reader is free.
Every time I try to turn a document into Adobe
You
or whatever.
can't turn it into
Okay.
Adobe.
That's why I
All
don't do it
Point of
fast.
order, let's move the question.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
We don't have a
that
motion.
we,
Leslie has another question.
Let's get under discussion.
We can get the motion on the floor first.
Go ahead.
Chairman, I move that we make the taxes on property number 007-122 for Verniman Supin in the amount of $1,134, 5 months. Appropriation.
Need a second?
Second.
All right, now you can ask a question. We got one last. Go ahead, Leslie.
I'm just thinking, I'm hoping you can hear me. If they were able to fill out the rest of the form, the house is unlivable after the fire, blah, 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 then I would think that they should be able to sign it just by typing their name in and that would be legitimate. So I'm wondering, I mean, I like the idea of having it done right so it doesn't come back and bite us sometime in the future, who knows? Could we pass the motion pending receiving the owner's signature?
We can.
Oh,
So friendly amendment, is that what that is, Leslie?
Yeah.
That goes along with, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and I think that's pretty easy. We can call the owner. We'll get their phone number and you know how to do that. Okay, so the motion is to pay $1,134.
The owner is that owner the owner?
One owner, he's talking, the chair's speaking.
What's up there, Pat?
Who is owner? Is that the guy that, is that,
I think
Yeah.
owner may be Paul Noble.
oh,
Okay.
So we got a motion. We're gonna vote on the amendment first. Everybody, the amendment is to, get the owner's signature on this. All those in favor of that?
I-
Aye.
Opposed? Now the main motion is, to abate $1,134 with this owner's signature on that form. Any more discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
You hear me out there?
Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me? I am the owner. This is Paul Noble.
You missed it all.
Pass it out, yeah.
All right, is there any other?
Gotta sign the form, Paul.
There you go, Paul.
Other business?
Something like that.
I moved that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Oh,
Who seconded that?
thank you.
Two or
Either
three
me
people
or
did.
Stefan.
Yeah.
It was pretty close.
Yeah.
I'll give it to him.
Thank you.
November 17th, 2020. It is now 6 p.m. We're meeting in the Town Hall Lower Theater, and there's a Zoom link available for those who wish to attend. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Are there any additions to the agenda? For routine administrative matters and/or pressing matters that will require ratification at a future meeting?
Nothing at this time.
Nothing at this time. We need to approve minutes of November 3rd.
I'll make the motion that we approve the minutes of the November 3rd, 2020 Select Board meeting.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve minutes of November 3rd, 2020 meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes pass. Any public comment on items that are not on the agenda? You'll get 3 minutes per person.
Chairman Pucciano,
Yes, sir. Mr. Mitchell.
yes, two things. First, homeless people have no place to live. They had a campfire, which I'm sure you're aware of, last night at 11:23 at night on at the depot lot. I am concerned with COVID epidemic. They have no proper shelter. Nobody deserves to be on the cold. That's one. Second thing is, I was reading in the Brattleboro Reformer with a Brattleboro Public Library closing due to the COVID pandemic. But what we're not doing is addressing Rockingham Free Public Library that cost us $443,000, and they have been getting a paycheck right along through this. We need to tighten our belt and come up with a plan to either take back control of that library or to start letting some people off because they're not open. So you're going over the budget, so there's no better time to do it than now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
I don't see anybody on Zoom.
Thank you. Managers report.
Thank you. We talked a little bit about COVID here. As we're all aware, it's a changing situation. And at the moment, as Mr. Mitchell had reported, the library is going to be closing for in-person browsing and in-person services. They will have some curbside available. And we'll try to publicize that information. At the moment, we're going to maintain our current status at City Hall, and that is we are open to the public. We're able to socially distance. We're requesting people come and continue to, follow COVID protocols, wear a mask, conduct your business, don't congregate, and leave the building. If that changes after the Thanksgiving holiday, we'll certainly let everybody know. But right now, we'd like to, keep ourselves open as long as we can. We have talked about installing a night drop option. So we're looking at a spot on the side of the building here near the elevator entrance where we can do basically like you do at your bank or when you go and do a night drop with your keys for a car service. So people could come, drop off payments or taxes or other items that they would necessarily not want to leave unattended, and then we pick them up and be able to do that without having to transact things in person. And then we do send back receipts and information back to people in the mail. So we're going to try to get that installed. So hopefully that'll help us, continue with services as well. We have, compromised people with compromised immunity or other medical issues. We did authorize a couple of people to work at home. We won't impact what they're doing to service the public, and we have a pretty good infrastructure thanks to going through this last year where they can continue to be productive. As of right now, everybody else is still coming in, working regular hours, and we're hoping that we can maintain that. And we will certainly see what happens after the holiday.
Okay, thank you very much. Item number 1 on the agenda, preliminary budget review.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and just give some sort of brief remarks about how we are looking at our our overall approach to the budget, and obviously COVID has a huge impact on that. And then Shannon's got some updates that she can give to you on specific things that we're looking at that we've already discussed. Most of this is operating budget. We're going to come back with a separate budget to discuss with you, equipment, capital, and debt service. So that will be a separate meeting. And then hopefully with input, we'll have an opportunity then to sort of finalize things after that. Two things that I think we agreed on as we approach this with department heads and all of our meetings with our department heads. First of all, we want to maintain our current service levels. There's nothing, or there was nowhere where we thought it was time or appropriate to cut back on services. I think the public is still anxious or looking for the same level of service from town. And at this point, I think we can accommodate that within our current budget structure. And the second thing is we do have unknowns. Obviously, COVID restricts the ability for us to do programming in this building. It restricts some of our ability to do some other types of activities that might impact, for example, in some ways, as strange as it does seem, COVID is impacting us positively on some of our utilities because people are at home more. So we're actually processing more waste, using more water. We will get an impact, and we'll have a report on collection of taxes. We just completed the, November 10th was our deadline for the most recent tax collection. So we'll see how we're doing. We'll see if we're starting to see significant impacts from people that might have had job loss or other disruption because of the economy and how it's impacted, individuals personally. And we'll certainly report back to you on how that looks going forward.
We don't have that tonight?
We don't have those
Okay.
finalized tonight. We're still putting together, we've got a couple stragglers that we're still trying to
Right.
finalize. So
Okay.
we'll have that for your next meeting. And then the last thing is, again, we have some expenses we've already incurred for COVID expenses. We've talked about the labor grants we've already submitted. We're, I think, cautiously optimistic that everything that we've looked at meets all the criteria and should be reimbursed back from the state. It's a little more cloudy looking forward as to what impacts it might be in the next cycle. So we're going to be conservative. We did put some monies in to talk about what potential expenses might be as we go forward. And then, again, the hope is we'll have some offset, but I don't think at this point we can guarantee it. So that's sort of the broad view of how we approached it. I'll let Shannon sort of fill in some gaps maybe on some of the more detailed conversations we had with the departments.
Thank you. So, at a very high level right now, not including this tax year in which tax payments were just due last week, the town has $200,000 in past due taxes for all previous years combined. And if we look at that, some of those years are actually in payment agreements that people are up to date on. So a tax sale in general costs us about $100,000 over 3 years. And then we wouldn't see in the first fiscal year any income from it. We would potentially see some after that. So something for you guys to think about is that with such a low balance of past due, and again, at our next meeting, we'll have a much better handle on this tax payment, given that it's only a week late. We still have people coming in to pay their tax bills, is that if we choose not to initiate a tax sale this year, we can reduce the budget by $50,000 because there is $50,000 in this budget for a tax sale without any revenue projection. One of the other items is making the development director full-time. And the thought process behind that is now things have changed, the environment's changed. And so Gary, as most of you know, is working for both the town and the village. And so I would like to discuss at the joint meeting at the end of December, the village picking up the difference to bring Gary on full-time, or a full-time development director. So in this budget, there is the $22,000 that it would cost to bring him on full-time. And there isn't the revenue from the village because we haven't had that conversation with them, but hoping that we could offset this budget another 22,000 there. The other thing is there is 50,000 in COVID expenses in this budget, and I did not project any revenue because typically I don't project grant revenue unless it's guaranteed. But I do think that in this instance, we could offset the 50,000 in expenses with a revenue line for grants, as we already have grants in the works this year, and we'll see the revenue in FY22. The only other significant change is the increase in recycling wages, which, as we know, recycling has been a painful point for us. So we opened a third day, and we're finding that as more and more people are aware of this, it's reducing the traffic on Saturdays. So we would like to keep that implementation and run 3 days a week going forward, which would require a $20,000 increase in personnel wages. And again, we would like to offset that too by looking at the revenue and seeing where we could increase potential revenue items, compare prices to other facilities. So at a high level, those are, if we did remove the tax sale, we did supplement the development director with revenue from the village, and we did make an assumption for COVID grants, this budget would be flat. And then there's other options, such as we had a significant savings last year, and this is just speaking to the town general fund, is using fund balance to help reduce this budget. We taxpayers paid their taxes last year. We worked hard to reduce the budget, and so we could use those funds. Oh, sorry. So that's what I have for the general fund. If we want to speak to that.
Yes, Peter.
Shannon, you only got 12,000 for the EA to the manager. I thought we were combining that with an HR person. Is that the plan, or?
So we. Oh no, go ahead,
Scott.
Well, yeah, we're looking at a combination of I do have a part-time opportunity. We've talked about a sharing of a position with planning and zoning, the city with the manager's position, and also with the listers, because we're coming up to a revaluation and a couple other major issues that they're going to have to get some additional help with. Our 5-year tax agreement with the hydro plant is also up. We're approaching the end of that 5 years, so we're going to have to do some work on that as we go forward as well. And as you guys are well aware, that's a big payer and one of our major contributors to our tax base. So we're going to have to do some prep. So we thought that maybe between the 3 departments, we might be able to share a resource and share some of the burden across 3 different functions that way.
Yeah, I just looked, I know we talked about it, just low salary proposal there. Under the town hall, you got operations, you got wages and maintenance in there for 15. Bruce is no longer here. What's the plan with that? Is there?
So we are going to have somebody in some capacity. I could give you a laundry list of things in the last week and a half that have taken place, and we're doing the best we can, but we have nobody really overseeing the functionality of the town hall and other buildings. So in some capacity, we will need somebody to fill some kind of a position, whether it's wages or contractor or something. We need something in the budget for it, because it doesn't need to be a full-time benefited person, but there are just things that need to be taken care of, and someone who's responsible for that.
Okay. Under debt service, the sewer line extension principal went from 18.8 up to 95.5, 95.6. What's with that?
So some of the loans are structured so they're heavy in the back end, and this is one of them.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. So it just looked funny because it was a big jump there.
We still have that, chart that you made, I think, remember? And it made that, showing that you peaked and how.
Right, we're also gonna do a debt service specific conversation with you separate. We'll have that information. We'll show you, you know, the
I
5-year
remember it
and
was a
10-year
year.
window.
Things would go up and then come back down.
We are seeing some things fall
I know
off,
it's,
which is
you know,
positive, and, you know, we have a
Because
chance,
debt
I
service
think,
is
to.
16 cents on the tax rate, that's, yeah, that's a big chunk of money.
I saw that.
What's the excavation permit expense at 10,000? What's with that? I've never seen that before.
Does that have to do with the bridge?
It's under highway, I don't know what it's doing.
I think some of that is probably allocated towards the pit. We have some Act 250 expenses we have to deal with, so part of that is just offset in that line.
I thought we had already sort of squirreled away the money for the closing of the pit in previous budgets, and there's a fund for that. Am I incorrect?
We do, you're absolutely right. We do have a pit closure fund. We need excavation permits for a variety of things. One of them is something that we need to do every 5 years. So when we dive into highway a little more, we can have the rationale for that, but we just have upcoming things that are going to need permits.
I noticed that there. One, nobody's gonna take the insurance incentive? There's nothing budgeted or supposed to be budgeted for it?
So we kind of touched on this last year. So I've never budgeted the way you guys did, which is you take an exact person and the exact amount that they spend for health or incentive, and you roll it through the budget. And it created a lot of issues for me in the last 2 budgeting cycles. Typically what you do with something like a benefit item is you would make an assumption for a number for each employee, and then you'd run it across. So a perfect example, and I don't mind sharing with you guys, is myself. I went from a family insurance incentive plan, which is $13,000 a year, to a family health insurance plan. So when I budgeted for myself, I thought I was going to carry the incentive for a full year, which was $13,000. When I switched to our insurance plan, because we lost our insurance, it went to $23,000. So it's in my opinion a bad way to budget for this line item. What's better is to take an average, make an assumption for each employee, and run it directly across. And whether it's an incentive or a health insurance, just all goes into the same line. We're never going to be accurate, as you see in the assumptions for incentive and health. People drop health insurance, pick up the incentive, and vice versa. So this is just a better and more accurate way to forecast something like that.
Okay, no, just look funny, that's all.
You got more?
Nope, that's all.
Anything right now? Early on here, after hearing what they presented?
We're not going into details into highway because I just see that paving is level funded, and I'm not sure if that's the right thing to do, but I guess we'll have a deeper discussion.
I did want to speak to the highway at a high level after questions were done for the general fund.
That you wanna wait, Susan? You wanna get right into that discussion?
I had another question then on the. No, that's all
Go
right.
ahead.
I just wasn't. I missed what the. Sometimes you're coming in and out. I have a question about the meeting house. I know that it's due. It needs to be painted. 3 sides. We're behind because Bruce didn't get to it, obviously, because he was not here. So he was going to do 2 sides, and now if we're going to keep on schedule, 3 sides really need to be done. But I don't see if that's what the maintenance line is, or is that something else? I forget the number. I think it's 15.
For the
So,
record, he was supposed to paint that 2 years ago, so it doesn't have anything to do with him not being here.
Gary has some update on that.
So,
It was
need a
on the
microphone.
schedule for this year, but anyhow. Right now we're at 15. Does that include the painting that needs to be done, or is that other stuff?
so,
no, that's the painting.
Okay.
But Gary,
Gary's gonna speak for a moment on this, all right?
so just for, Susan's right about the past, but what we did instead, because we weren't able to get to the painting, was we addressed, the critical areas on all of the sides. So there were places where the paint was missing and, there was concern about damage going deeper. So we spent, I think something like $8,000 this year doing those repairs to just to shore up so that there wouldn't be any damage. And there is, we're getting back on track with the one side per year. And Shannon was referring to, it's in the budget this year.
Okay. I think that's it for right now.
Yeah, Mike, the only thing I have is stated when this pandemic started, and as the manager mentioned a brief part earlier this evening, I think we're going to be expecting this revenue report reference to taxes, Shannon. There was some concern we all had, I believe, in reference to how we would fare out on the last payment here about a week ago. So that's going to be interesting to see, but we still have this pandemic going on, and in some respects it's increasing and getting worse, especially in our own state. And there are people out there, some of which I know, that are in this community that they've either, their spouse or their partner have either lost their job or had their hours reduced, or other things have changed, such as insurance or health insurance, or the type of job they're doing or they're not doing. So, and I know you've heard me say it before, but I'm going to be conservative, but I may be ultra conservative this year because we don't know where we're going to be financially. And there's a lot of people out there that, they speak to me, they're telling me they are struggling to pay their taxes, whether it be also water or sewer. So I would hope that the board, as they usually do, keep all this in mind, and we got to take a look at it in a different, from a different standpoint, because this is an unusual year. It's looking like it's going to go into next year, and we're not sure where the revenues are going to stand. And we still have a community of people here that we want them to stay here. We don't want them to leave or be out of their home or whatever else. So we just need to be sympathetic to that and understanding.
I am going to echo on that without going line for line here tonight. I think since March, I started speaking as a board member here about the economic impact, and I think we did a good job this summer till now heeding that warning. And what we did, we made adjustments, and just like Stefan just said, there's businesses that just got closed again. So their families are affected financially. Their employees are affected. These folks pay taxes. I don't think we've seen the full impact from what's happening. So I think the right thing to do is to do what most of these homeowners, businesses, taxpayers are doing, is being very cautious with their spending, reducing their spending. I think this is the year we reduce taxes. I'm not sure how we got to this point where we level fund or go up 2% every year with no end in sight. So I think it's time to do what any business's employee, the employee's family members have all been doing, is being very cautious in rearranging their budgets and doing more with less.
Can
I
I,
think we really need to look into that and come back and consider what can still happen financially to this community.
If
So-
I may, Mr. Chair, Peter had some notes there and Peter had some comments. The 16 cents, I mean, you know, we all understand that, but that's a hell of a hit for people in this community, especially in this.
I didn't feel the need to go into detail.
Yeah.
I'm announcing that to the folks who are preparing this budget. When I look at some things that were mentioned in public comments, of some of these facilities, departments that have been closed, and possibly we don't know when they're going to open. The folks whose businesses just got shut down Saturday night, they don't know when they're going to open. Those folks pay taxes. We don't know what's coming here.
I mean, we're into
We're preparing to spend the same amount of money.
from a retail aspect. This is the time of the year that the majority of the retailers count on this holiday season to get them through the rest of the year. I know and I don't want to get into details also, but I saw some notes or some stuff in here on highway, and I'm going to reiterate what my colleague has said, and it's time to be able to do more with less. Other businesses and municipalities are doing it. I know I visited several here in the last month, tightening their belts.
so can I speak to all that real quick?
Sure.
So the idea would be that last year we did a great job and we expect to do the same if our situations stays the same as it is. The idea is to create a budget where we're fully functional and then, cut costs as needed. So that would be all of the monies that we saved last year by all these cost cutting efforts in the fiscal year. So it'll be in this FY21 budget that we saved by reducing all the costs. We would take those funds from the fund balance and apply them to this budget so that we create a budget where if we can function normally, if there is a vaccine, if things work, we have a budget where we can run the town and facilities at 100% if that's available. But I will reiterate, since I've been here, I haven't had a budget that's gone over. And in the event that we need to, and we are currently still running with the expectation that we understand people are going to be tight on money, we are pinching pennies. We are at the lowest amount of staff that we can be at within town hall. We're all doing multiple jobs and wearing multiple hats, and we will continue to do that. And then, so if we did, like I said, if we level funded this budget and then we were to take some fund balance so that we reduce the budget, the taxpayers would see the effects of our cost savings. But again, if this were to lift and things were to get back to normal, we would be able to function as normal. So that is my thought process behind this.
I respect that answer, and I trust that you do that, and you've been doing that. I really do. I think things are not going to be back to normal by a vaccine, first of all. Some of these businesses are not going to open back up ever. That affects a chain of people financially. So I'll just ask again that we look what we do if we're able to operate at, as you just said, the shortest stretched thin, like you said, but it's working. That's what a lot of people are doing. That's what a lot of businesses are doing, and I don't think I don't agree that a business who's also preparing a budget would full budget in hopes that it works out, but if not, we can reduce some spending. I think they're looking at how to reduce their budget beforehand, and that was my original request.
I don't doubt, Mr. Chairman and my fellow board members, that all hands, including staff, are on deck here. But, and don't take this the wrong way. I talked with the gentleman today who's in charge of the highway department. and they purchased 2 trucks that were used. And they stated where the trucks came from, and I know that this community takes very good care of their equipment. But for approximately $180,000, they got 2 trucks that came with the plows and everything, 2 6-wheelers, and I looked at these trucks. They're beautiful trucks. What I'm saying is we need to start thinking differently here. We need to think about how we're spending. And I mean, I'd like to have a brand new truck, but I'm not. I'm looking for a used truck. Doesn't mean it's a piece of junk. Just you got to find something that works, that fits your budget, that'll get you by a few years. I mean, coming to the taxpayers and asking them to bond or to spend money on a reserve, I think is the wrong time right now. I'm certainly not going to ask in the village for any more bonding. But we have to be conservative. We have to look at doing things differently. And I don't want to pick on the highway department, I'm not, but if it takes a little longer for my street to get plowed or for somebody else's, I think we can all understand that and we can accept that. Now's the time we can hope for the best, but we've got to plan for the worst.
Just a point that, looking at your total expenses, both highway and general fund, it looks like there's a proposed right now the 4-cent decrease in taxes. So you had $110.10 last year. It's probably going to be down around 7 cents this year. I'm going to guess maybe lower than that if we can do it. That's what it looks like from what you got on these pages today.
What is it again? 4 cents in there. And then
You look at your total expenses, both down, they're down, under 300, 200, 150, 200,000. There's 3 cents in the general fund budget and a penny off the using the current, $46,000 raise, spending.
I know it's out.
Okay, I wasn't suggesting rewriting anything. It's my statement for moving forward in this time. That we all just, do more with less, like everyone else is doing. The folks who pay these taxes are struggling.
We certainly go above and beyond here, I believe, but I think maybe some school boards should take some heed on the way we budget for things.
We hope that will happen as well. That the school board, which we all know is whatever percentage of our taxes, also has the same discussion.
70% to the school.
70%. But we're not on that board. We're on this board.
Yeah, the only thing that I noticed that sticks out too is that you got projecting a $205,000 increase in property taxes on the front page here. So that will kind of offset.
Well, that's the recommendations, for eliminating the tax sale, recouping the development director funds from the village, and estimating 50,000 in reimbursement for COVID would essentially take that away.
We haven't even talked about anything on the Depot Street Bridge too. We got to start thinking about that. That's hopefully up for construction in 23, I believe.
Yeah. So for now, just one more question that pertains to this budget and this discussion is, when might we know about the theater and possible lease? Because that would obviously impact this budget.
Yes, we're meeting with
Seen the draft lease once.
some of the principals tomorrow.
Great.
And we'll see where they stand, and they're also impacted by COVID, as we're all well aware. And so we'll see what tomorrow's conversation brings, and I'll update you as we go.
Okay.
I take it, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
The manager appears to have done his homework. Also, I think it's important that we had some understanding, at least I did, as far as what they would cover, which seems to have changed. I don't want to go into too much detail because I know it's a privileged discussion.
Yep.
But I'd also like to trumpet the horn that theater is one of the best venues for the average person in this community to be able to afford to get out for an evening and have some entertainment and bring the whole family and provide the popcorn and the drinks and the candy too.
That's important to have people on both sides, everyone. And we'll get more information, but I just mentioned the impact that could have and moving forward. And
Yeah, I mean, I think we obviously, right, we have two major areas that we're looking at. And our recycling center has some significant structural, financial problems. We've all recognized that. We have some ideas on how we can close that gap, and we've talked about a 2-year process to bring it to a break even, and then in the second year, possibly creating it as an enterprise fund, so it has to be self-supporting. That's going to take a little more work. I don't have all the detail on how that can be accomplished. We're working on some of those numbers, but I don't think it's out of the realm of reality that we can do that. But again, I think that's also value for your taxpayer, and we got to balance all of those factors, as we go forward. So I appreciate some of your feedback on that, and we're sensitive to the same issues that you guys are bringing to our attention as well.
Thank you.
so, I think we can move on for now unless anyone has anything else. We appreciate getting us that information and starting early. That gives us time to work it out. Okay, Susan, Hammond? Any questions? Good?
Nope,
Fernando?
all set.
Chairman Pucciano,
Yes, sir.
yeah, don't want to beat a dead horse, but I'm incensed that everybody has tightened the belt, but we have a full staff of 14 part-timers. The Rockingham Free Public Library, they're getting full benefits. You need to take a serious look at that. We're still 6 months into our calendar year. That's $443,000 of taxpayer money that should have been addressed a year ago. It wasn't. And it's like the sacred cow. Nobody wants to touch it. So I'm again saying 14 people, part-timers, they can do better for a lot less, or we should take it over. Thank you.
Mr. Mitchell, that's a separate topic. We heard you the first time. We appreciate your statements, and we didn't discuss any of that tonight. And when that comes in front of this board, you could have your public comment to the issue. But we heard you, and we appreciate your statements.
Thank you. I like your haircut.
Thank you very much. Cut it myself.
Mr. Chairman, we have one more public comment. Someone said with plowing sidewalks, they need to be cleared for emergency. We have seniors, kids who walk to school. Last year, my street sidewalk was left for days.
Is that is there a north and a south side to the sidewalk? Is it typical you only do one side during the winter? Or do you have more details on that? But I think there's a route, and they stick pretty well to that route in clearing the snow. But I'm probably not qualified to answer. But I wonder if it's I don't have the answer.
I can follow up with them too and connect them with Andy.
Yes, I do know that it is a priority of the highway crew to get sidewalks safe.
Yep.
All times of the day and night. Okay, moving on to item 2, Depot Street Bridge discussion.
Wait, Gaetano, before we move on to item 2, we just get an update on the time frame? Are we going to have meetings with the individual department heads like we've done in the past, or is it going to be done differently? Or what's the time frame we're looking at for the budget?
Well, we still have to do another presentation to you of those major expense areas that we talked about with capital, debt, and equipment. We can certainly bring the library into that discussion as well. I think at that point we'll have formulated pretty good understanding of where we are in the budget. Then we're into the nitty-gritty at that point. If we want to talk about individual programs or individual types of targeted activity, I'd probably bring some folks in if we want to talk about some things specifically at that point.
Does that answer your question?
And so that would be
time?
done at these select board meetings, not on a Saturday like in the past?
I would guess we may have to have some Saturday meetings depending on how fast we're moving along, you know?
Right.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And we
Once
can
every 2 weeks.
usually discuss if like Thursday nights work better or whatever works best for the select board as a group. We're flexible.
Okay.
Okay, ready to move on now? Sorry about that, Sue. I didn't hear you. Okay, we're gonna move on to number 2 now. Depot Street Bridge discussion.
Thanks. Just as a point of sort of, I'll give you a general overview. We've got 3 bridge projects in general that our friends at Vermont DOT are working on. And the first one is and you've had meetings about all of these, so it shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. We've got bridge number 38, which is basically the Route 5 bridge over the Green Mountain Railroad. That one's in discussion. That one's going to have some impacts with detouring and the fact that they're using this new accelerated bridge construction process. And at this point, they're still sticking to a complete closure, which I don't know if we necessarily want that to happen. I think we can still try to see if we can find ways to maybe work around that so we have some traffic in one lane of traffic, even if that's even possible still. But we'll bring that information to you. We're still in conversation with them about that as well. Depot Street Bridge, you did sign back in March, just a maintenance agreement and sort of a memorandum of understanding with DOT about how this bridge is going to work going forward. The issues there for us, we have some preliminary plans. We don't have a full schedule yet. I'll be talking to the engineer about when that might be available so we can look at when they're going to get to 100% and be ready for bids. They couldn't really give me that information. They're also being impacted by COVID, so they're being a little conservative. I still think they're programming this for final activities in 22 and letting in construction in 23, but that schedule is all up in the air as well. But as that gets closer, we'll certainly let you know. We have some concerns there about some impact on some of our underground utilities and also some impacts on construction that might be ongoing at the garage project as well. There might be some overlapping concerns there. So we're going to make sure those parties are all informed so we don't get in each other's way as we go forward. So we'll keep you in the loop. We also have a 5% cost share. And as we get into the capital portion, Shannon and I will update you on that's currently not in our budget program, but it will be in the future as we go forward. As we get better numbers from them, we'll have to also then figure out how we want to approach that as well. And then the third bridge is New Hampshire DOT did get in touch with me this week. They have a set of plans for the Bella Street Bridge, and they were going to send me some information. So I will get a set of plans, which is good news. We'll see what they've got at this point with their current plans, and then we can bring those forward and have a conversation.
What?
Could
you repeat that?
They have a set of plans that they're going to be sending me.
Reference to which bridge?
Yeah, on the Vilas Bridge.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I
kind of came out of left
remember
field.
they were gonna.
I was gonna say that came out of nowhere.
So when I get it, I'll share it with you. I haven't seen it. This person that called me from New Hampshire DOT was somebody I'd never heard from and heard about. So
the rumor that they're tearing it down and moving the wastewater is
that's a
hopefully not
great
in that
rumor,
plan.
but so far that's not anything.
There's a new one I heard from.
That's a good one.
Some Walpole citizen.
I did too, and I understand that they were looking at the real expense of going all the way down by
Westminster.
Yeah. Or coming.
Well, that's
okay. So we'll see what they bring to us. So like I said, there's some activity going on there. It's very early in that process. That's out in the later years of the transportation plan.
Interesting.
And we'll have to engage in that more deeply once we get those plans, and we'll share them with everyone and have conversations, and maybe then we can, at least see where the thinking is right now. I don't think, at this point, it's too early to speculate on to how that might impact other projects or other ideas or just access in general. So
good to see some movement there.
I was pleasantly surprised at that myself.
Yeah.
So, and we have somebody now that we can work through, which is always helpful. Once you have a point of contact, it sort of makes that process easier. So we will let you know as we go forward where we stand on some of these things. So just want to give you just sort of a brief overview. Bridges are always disruptive, no matter how you do it and when you do it, right? They tend to create disruptions in people's routines and people's lives. And, you know, we try to do the best we can with that and give people as much advance warning, try to come up with the least impactful ways that these things are gonna, you know, impact our downtown, impact people's commuting, impact people's, you know, ability to get to and from places they want to go. So at the end of the day, no matter what we do, it's still an impact. You know, it's always difficult. So we give people as much warning as we can, try to be as accommodating as we can, and certainly if we can, you know, make some changes so that we can somehow minimize some of the pain on our end, we're certainly going to continue to push to do that. So just wanted to give you that update this evening.
Are you still on, we still on target for the arch bridge work?
Yeah.
That's gonna be another pain in the neck.
That's another one I'm still waiting to get a point of contact for, so I will let you know.
When you do that, I think we'd left with like, they were gonna do a traffic study with a concern of emergency vehicles and right-hand turns when they had closed the north lane would be confusing and discussing traffic lights. And I did notice, I don't know if you know, or perhaps it's part of their plan, but they put a pole with cameras up and people have
I do
asked
know, I
me.
spoke to our Vermont counterparts about what's going on. Those are traffic cameras. They don't have tubes. They're there to count direction of travel and vehicles.
For cars.
For cars.
Right
They
now,
are not
for the-
being used for registrations or for license plate reading.
Is it part of the traffic study for the bridge or just?
It's just in general. It
Oh,
will be used for the bridge, but
Okay.
it's just in general. So it's opposed to putting tubes down.
so people had asked
continue
me
counts.
and you said they're not running license plates.
Correct. I asked that specifically. to want to
But
make
they are
sure.
capable of that, correct?
I
With
imagine.
modification, any
Oh, yeah,
camera,
I did see
with
it.
modification, any camera can do license
nice
plate
looking
and
camera.
registration scanning.
Modification might be just push of a button,
Okay.
but it's Vermont AOT, right, is it?
It's
That
Vermont.
was
Because they're
Vermont.
also at the Hinsdale Bridge, or Brattleboro Bridge,
Correct.
the Springfield Bridge, Charlestown Bridge.
You'll
all
also
on
be
the
seeing
Vermont
some
side,
new
yeah.
signs in the
Yeah.
general
Another point,
area.
yeah.
I
It's
don't know
not
if
just
you
here.
noticed, they put up stakes and they're gonna be
Yeah.
putting up new 60 by 48 signs that are talking about COVID restrictions. So that'll be something that you'll probably see in the next week or so as well.
Figured someone must have get some ideas how to spend the 88 million they had from COVID that they were talking about earlier.
I think they were gonna help businesses with that money, was my understanding, but anyway, so as I get updates on these things,
That's
I'll bring
great.
them to you and we'll try to bring them to the public because they do impact everyone and it's information that's, you know,
And-
beneficial.
And I appreciate your mentioning the full closure of Bridge 38 as in the discussion. I don't think you were here. It was a pretty hot topic with emergency services, folks who live just on the other side. And what the state of Vermont will claim is a 14-mile detour is actually 35 to 40 minutes for these folks.
The detour that it looks like they were proposing looked pretty long and arduous to me. It didn't look very reasonable. So I think we have some argument to be made there.
Okay, great.
Didn't we, Mr. Chairman, Peter, didn't we have
She came back, but
a topic on the other bridge by the post office too at one point here?
Bridge Street?
Yeah, wasn't there something we discussed earlier?
Well, we did, but we were just wondering if we did Depot Street, and it all came up with a whole discussion.
Yeah.
Whether- But I think Bridge Street, the Bridge Street Bridge is on the schedule somewhere about 10 years out or something.
Okay.
like that.
It's way out. I don't-
Okay.
yeah, I think
So
it's
we don't
not,
have to worry about that
All
right yet.
right.
That's fine.
Yeah, they do a 10-year look and they throw things on there and that.
Yeah, I
goes
just
out
didn't want you to
years.
get surprised, and I just,
When they get into the 5-year transportation planning window, that's when we start getting serious because that's when they start programming real money.
right,
And that's when you get into, you know, the real nitty gritty. So right now that's not in.
okay.
Thank you for the update. Any questions, Susan? Comments?
Nope, all set, thanks.
So then, review agenda items for the next meeting of December 1st. Coming right up, so we probably have budget discussion.
Yes, as we talked about, we'll put on the equipment, capital, and debt service. And if you'd like, we can have the library, if you want to do that as a conversation, we can do it as a separate conversation in the future. I'll leave that up to you, how you want us to approach that.
Financials, financials are coming out that week or the week after the following meeting?
financials will come out that week.
Anyone have any response to Scott's library suggestion? What do we want to do with that? Wait till they're prepared to come? Or we discuss
Yeah, I have
it?
not sat down with the director and had a conversation.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's,
If you want
What do
to
you say?
save that for a separate meeting in the future, it might
Yeah.
make some sense to do that. I just wanted to give you the option, so it's up to the board if you'd like to accelerate.
does to me.
I know Woodstock had done something with the library, but that was some years ago. Just changed the way.
Well, let's
that
just,
operated.
let's just stick to that. Well, Susan, you have something? You're kind of freezing up, it looks like.
No, I was just gonna say, I think we should wait. I mean, has their board even met to discuss their budget? I mean, we have to let that process happen too. So I think we wait on the library until they're ready and we're ready.
Capital debt, financials, budget, anything else right now?
If you could, just under other business, this is sort of a general announcement for the community. Don was telling me that at Leslie's Tavern, they are offering people a free Thanksgiving meal if folks would contact them directly, and they left a phone number for that. It's 802-275-7809, and they will make arrangements with folks. That was being paid for through donations from people in the community, so it's an opportunity maybe for some folks who might not have a nice Thanksgiving meal to get something for their families. So hopefully if people are watching, or if they know of someone that might be in need, that's an opportunity to do something nice for somebody for Thanksgiving. So just wanted to pass that on.
Also, there will be a couple other items for the regular select board meeting. Paper machine from the gravel pit, the storage at the Wyman Flint and the TLR properties, all from the development department.
What was the first one? Paper machine?
Yeah, it's the big
Okay.
long machine that's up there.
So you got those?
Yeah.
All right. It's quite a bit already. Review agenda items for our next joint board meeting. We have automated car trials, and that'd be the time when we discuss Gary's position with the village.
That would be an item. That's one. The other one that we really haven't talked about much, and it's something we need to think about, is if we want to talk about the option to opt in to allow for retail sales for marijuana. That's a new state initiative, obviously passed the legislature. I can get you some more detail on how that process might work if we at least want to have a conversation about it. Not saying we have to take a position, we're not saying we have to advocate.
So one was put in place years ago. right?
Yeah, reference dispensaries, you may want to reflect on that.
This is new now, this is
Yes.
different, yeah.
Yeah.
So just saying, if you wanted to have that conversation, we could start it, let's get the information. And
I'm interested in
both-
having that conversation.
Both groups take a look at it
Yeah.
and then get some sense of where you want to go forward with it.
About a little bit of information on the housing proposal, what the village is working on. The only reason that we might want to have our nose in that is that they are, the health officer maybe enforcement, doing some enforcement.
I guess that's part of the nuisance. And
No, it's a housing ordinance that they've come out with, and
Wasn't,
it just that, you know, if the health officer, who the town will pay for his salary, not the village, if he's gonna enforce things on village, we may wanna have some discussion with that. Some of that, how that's gonna be split. you know.
Some of that was townwide, right?
Yeah, they got,
So-
mentioned in select board, if you read the draft, it's up, Chuck brought out, so I'm just curious to see how that.
that's a lot. So I'll also write that. And,
okay.
okay. Review and approve orders, bills, and warrants.
Motion to approve the orders, bills, and warrants.
Second for discussion.
Motion been made and seconded. Approve orders, bills, and warrants.
Just a couple, Shannon, on page, on the 1111 one, page 3 of 5, there's a QD CIP for 2708. it says highway wastewater pole light. Doesn't make any sense to me. Do anything about that one?
I'll have to look into that and get back to you unless Scott already
Got
knows.
broken.
I don't know what it was, that's why.
Town highway wastewater pole?
No, it says, yeah. Where was it?
I don't know, but
They'll just keep my interest because it said wastewater, that's all.
Hmm.
The other was, we paid Springfield Paving $4,800 for sewer covers, or was that for risers?
I will have to get back to you on those questions via email.
Okay, no problem. I'm just curious what it was for. I don't know why we were doing sewer covers. That's nothing to do with the town. Risers, if it was risers, I can understand
Any other
when they did paving on River
questions?
Drive, I'm guessing.
Peter, any more questions?
Nope.
Are you sure it's coded to the town?
That's where it is. That QDCP also has 2 invoices in the village. I mentioned to Debbie, she missed it. The same company, two invoices, two amounts paid on this with same check numbers. It just looks like somebody might have put it in double. I don't know. That's a village's issue, not mine.
We did have an issue with one of the homeowners' homes, and it was decided through the interim manager that the town would pay for it, and it was divided between the water, wastewater, and highway. But I will get you a thorough answer via email tomorrow.
No problem. I just didn't understand the water, wastewater, whole light. That's all.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve orders, bills, and warrants. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. Other business, Susan?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Stefan?
No, sir, we're good.
I have a question about the current state with the north storefront here. We've seen some activity, and I was under the impression we had signed a lease with the company and how that's all working out and who's paying what and who's paying utilities, and if anyone had any information.
I'm sorry,
Gary hasn't.
could you repeat that?
Our storefront I see has a pop-up Christmas shop where I was
I
under the
think Gary's gonna
impression
give an update.
we signed a lease. So how's that working out?
Yeah, so the tenants are paying regularly on the lease. They have not been late or missed payments due to COVID hitting right when they were supposed to set up. They were focusing on their construction business and didn't get set up. And in order to have some activity in the downtown, especially during the holidays with the outdoor activities, the Christmas tree, the home Christmas tree shop that was in there last year approached the town, and we worked with the tenants to have a sublet agreement.
Great answer, thank you. And that's it from me, Peter?
No, not really. I can chat about that stuff, and it's not a board issue.
Okay, thank you all very much. We don't need an executive session. So one more time, the free Thanksgiving was mentioned by the manager. Just got some information at Leslie's Tavern. There was a phone number, 802-463. I didn't write the rest down.
275 cell number.
275?
Yeah, 4093, I think, but I can't.
But it's at Leslie's, and is that information, and that's it from us.
Adjourn.
Seconded.
Motion been made, seconded to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Good night.
Aye.